Let's listen now for the details. Now, the news is replete with the rising cost of fuel, mainly petrol and diesel. But have you paid attention to the cost of liquefied petroleum gas, LPG? Well, that has seen some astronomical increase as well. And in case you don't know, LPG goes up by about 5% today. LPG is now 9 Ghana cedis and 75 pesos per kilo, which translates to about 140 Ghana cedis for your 14.5 kilograms cylinder. Gabriel Kumi is Vice President of the LPG Marketers Association.
The item that goes into the pricing are the cost of the product, and then we'll have the taxes and the margins adding up to the cost of the product, come up with the pump price. So basically, we have the margins, and then we have the taxes on the product, in addition to the cost of the product.
So it appears that you're pushing everything on the consumer. No room for cushioning?
We tried very hard to cushion consumers, but unfortunately, this is a buying and selling issue. So if you go and buy the product at 2 cedis, you cannot sell it less than 2 cedis. You have to add your taxes to get to about 3 cedis. You have to add your margins to get to about 3 cedis. So is the price, the cost price of the product that we buy it, that determines the taxes and the margins are constant on the product. So once you have things like the crude oil price shooting up, unfortunately our CD also not doing too well, then you expect that the cost of the product will go up. And once the cost goes up, keep moving up, and you have a constant taxes and levies on the product, you expect that the price will continue to go up.
While the LPG Marketers Association says the rapid change in prices is affecting their business due to the declining consumption rate of LPG.
This will obviously negatively affect our business, because you know LPG is highly price sensitive. It has an elastic demand. So the little peso that you increase the price of the product with will go a long way to affect the consumption of the product and the purchase of the product. So obviously, business is not doing too well, because if you look at the statistics, consumption is on the decline now. Consumption of LPG is on a serious decline. And if measures are not taken, if the price continue to go up as it's doing now, we are afraid consumption will continue to decline, and there will be a lot of negative consequences to that. Some of our members are no longer able to keep employment because we're dealing with volumes. Once the volume goes down, you cannot have the necessary margins to be able to sustain your employees.
Okay.
So some of our members have started laying off workers. We are not growing. So the consequences are quite dire.
When the going gets tough, priorities are realigned. In this episode of the Joy Living Standard series, we take you to Kaneshi, where people have ticked out visiting salons and dressmakers out of their budget. Mamiesi Thompson reports that although government has not increased utility tariffs, many fear the tariffs have been adjusted.
3 days, me back Raminia, Jumanda Penamania, is back one able.
Sene we are sena yente na ma bibia ubo move kula want me move.
Recently the bill that came was almost 130 for water, and I'm wondering why the water is still going high.
Food prices are up. Fuel prices are up. Transport fares up. With the poorly regulated nature of Ghana's markets, the ordinary Ghanaian is tightening budgets to make ends meet. So, what are people kicking out of their priority lists to survive?
Like me bomitia, and here me pese every day me pese me di bomitini.
Now, I braid my hair once every 2 months. I also do my own washing because I cannot afford to.
Oh, see, I know. Ooh, that baby, I'll be that time.
Any salon I enter, either 10 or 12 cedis. So I opted for a roadside barber who charged 7 cedis. I have stopped going to the tailor because they also charge too high.
With the increment of items, it's just something that we can't talk about, but we are in it. And with the last time I went to the salon, I can't really remember because most of the times I do the washing at home, and then I basically do everything myself.
I prefer buying clothes these days because it is affordable than having to sew them.
With people deciding to cut out clothes and visiting salons less often to make ends meet, I visited Jennifer, who works inside the Kanishi market. She targets traders who may be too busy to visit hairdressing salons in their residential communities. Jennifer says because of her target market, she has made her services affordable. But lately, her customers have not been frequent.
It depends.
The cost for the electricity bill has tripled. They were charging those with extra appliances more, so I had no option than to send my 2 hair dryers home. Even though they reduced the price at some point, it is still not easy to pay.
Her customer Davi, who had not visited her for weeks, says economic difficulties are to blame.
This is where I braid my hair. But for some time, financial difficulties is making it difficult.
Davi adds that she is currently fighting with other tenants over payment of utility bills due to the unfair amount she is forced to pay monthly.
Paying of bills in my house always turns into an argument. The bills are high and I would prefer my own meter.
Emanuela, a church administrator, joined the conversation. She simply cannot explain how her water bills keep rising even though the Public Utilities and Regulatory Commission has not announced adjustments in tariffs.
For me, it's been going high because I usually pay, so I know how much I've been paying over the period. Recently, the bill that came was almost 130 for water, and I'm wondering why the water is still going high.
Seamstresses are also reporting low patronage. Mother has had fewer customers in recent times, but her challenge is electricity charges.
The bills are high, so what I do is pass on the cost to customers.
Nyamiche is a cleaner who is convinced that ECG has increased tariffs and wants the government to come clean.
I received 85 cedis, but it jumped to 120 in February. What baffles me is the water bill.
A month. But I say no, higher times 2.
So we are the pray for change. While PERC says tariffs have not been adjusted, and we'll be following that story closely. Let's do other stories now, because schools and students who also wish to enjoy the school feeding program would have to wait a bit longer, as the ministry has announced that the expansion of the program is on hold until further notice. Responding to questions from the Ilokrobo MP on when the program would be extended to some schools within his constituency, the caretaker Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection said the program has significant debts that must be taken care of before any expansion can be undertaken.
So, Speaker, currently the expansion of the program is on hold. We are clearing all arrears of caterers and putting in place measures to ensure effective and efficient service delivery to all beneficiary schools, as well as the caterers. We are also putting in place a management information system to enhance efficiency and effectiveness of the system. We shall surely inform this August House when we are ready to expand the program to cover additional schools. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
We'll be speaking to the PRO later in the bulletin. Now, Director of the Ghana Health Service in the Greater Accra region, Dr. Charity Sapong, is alarmed about the cases of stillbirths that have remained stagnated for the past 3 years in the region. Stillbirth refers to a case when an infant dies in the womb strictly after having survived through at least the first 28 weeks of pregnancy. Dr. Charity Sapong, who was speaking at an annual performance review meeting at the Greater Accra Regional Health Directorate, said although total deliveries increased by about 8% in 2020 as compared to 2021, it was regrettable that stillbirths and maternal mortality have been their major challenge. The institutional maternal mortality increased from 143 per 100,000 live births to 164 per 100,000 births. She, however, indicated that adequate measures have been put in place to address the trend.
As compared to the year 2020, whilst our percentage skilled deliveries increased just marginally from 51% to 52% in 2021. Unfortunately, Dr. Chairperson, our institutional maternal mortality increased from 143 per 100,000 live births to 164.6 per 100,000 live births. And this is something we are not happy about, and it's one of our focus for this year, 2022. Our stillbirth rate has remained stagnant over the past 3 years, around 13 per 1,000 live births, whilst institutional neonatal mortality has increased marginally from 10.2 per 1,000 live births in 2020 to 11.5 per 1,000 live births in 2021. Dr. Chairperson, we intend to address all identified gaps in our maternal and newborn health care and institute appropriate interventions in collaboration with all our stakeholders, including even the very people we serve.
You're still watching JoyNews Desk with me on PTCB. Let's go to our earlier stories, where schools and students who also wish to enjoy the school feeding program would have to wait a little bit longer because there is a debt in the school feeding program. Joining me for this conversation is Siba Alpha, who is PRO for the school feeding program. Thank you so much for your time. Hi, if you can hear me. Thank you so much for time. You're live on JoyNews Desk.
Hello.
All right, yeah, so thank you for joining me. Now, the minister says the school feeding debt is quite high. Can you please give us some figures?
Can you take that again? The line is fake. I'm not able to hear you well. Can you take that again, please?
All right, the minister says the school feeding program debt is high. Can you please give us figures on how high it is?
You said the minister said the school feeding program is high. Or
the debt. So can you give us figures?
I'm afraid, but if I heard what you said about the school feeding program, what the minister said on the floor of Parliament yesterday, is it correct? So
we're talking about the debt that the school feeding has accumulated.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah. So. Thank you very much for having me. Yeah. Even before I go to that, I would like to thank your listeners and also to call on I don't know if I'm online that has published this story that the school feeding program is on hold. And this issue, I have to tell you, is causing a lot of disquiet and anxiety, even confusion amongst our stakeholders. And so we will call on them to immediately retract the story and apologize to the millions of beneficiary peoples of the program, to our stakeholders, and even to our development partners, because it's totally incorrect. They should have verified information before putting it out there. for the.
Yeah, I understand that, but the minister is saying that the school feeding program has accumulated debts. So I want you to give me the figures.
I'm coming to that. I'm saying that yesterday they put that one on their website.
So I understand what you're trying to address, but I want you to answer my question, please.
Madam, I'm coming to your question, but I want to put things right.
I'm listening to you.
So coming to your question, yes, currently we owe the caterers for the third term of 2021 academic year.
Mm-hmm.
That we have to process their arrears, and then government is working on it. And then apart from the third term arrears that we owe the caterers, there are also some isolated what you call payment issues.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever we do payment, one or two cases may not get their money because of reconciliation issues. Because some of them, or all the cases, we pay them electronically on their e-switch card. And then when we ask for the information from them, sometimes we get the information. Some of the information come with enough places, and so we have to do reconciliation. So these are the isolated ones I'm referring to. But the major one that we owe the caterers is the third term of the 2021 academic year, which the minister has indicated. Government is working seriously to mobilize the funds and then pay the caterers the arrears.
Okay, twice you said that government is working on it. How soon will the debt be cleared?
Well, we heard the minister yesterday, the honorable minister yesterday. She made it clear. And so beyond what the minister said, there's nothing for me to add. That the government is working on it, and then we are assuring the caterers that the payment will be done as soon as the government.
So that means you have no idea when that will happen. The school children that are waiting for their food will continue to wait. Is that what you're saying? Is that what we should tell them?
No, I'm not hearing you. But the point I was making is that the school feeding program is a pre-financing program. So it's not unusual for us to be in arrears. So normally the caterers will pre-finance, and then later on government will go and then evaluate it, check the number of days they have fed the children, and then calculate it and pay accordingly. And so that's why I made the point that.
So yes, I'm asking about timelines. How soon? Timelines.
And I did tell you earlier on that beyond what the minister said, the minister
you don't know.
Giving the assurance. I'm just reiterating what the honorable minister said. And then also the misconception that the school feeding program is on hold. It's not a school feeding program is on hold, as we know. It's the expansion that is on hold for now. So that we'll be able to clear that. As soon as the arrests are cleared, then I'm sure government will come back to look at how the expansion is going to be. But for now, the minister is saying that the expansion is on hold to enable us to pay the caterers the arrears.
All right, thank you very much. That is Mr. Siba Alpha, and he is the PRO for the school feeding program. Let's do other stories now, because the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Godfrey, Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, to go after multinational companies that are evading taxes in the country. In his view, the government's efforts at widening the tax net and consequently prosecuting its development agenda are being frustrated by some big oil companies in the country. Speaking after the inauguration of the governing board of EOCO, Mr. Dame said the mandate to recover proceeds of crimes makes EOCO a revenue-generating organization for the government.
On my working visit to the offices of EOCO recently, I felt constrained to make a remark about the relatively low record of money it had recovered from the process of crime. It is undesirable for perpetrators of economic crime to conceal or keep the fruits of their crimes against the people of Ghana. Such a situation breeds mistrust in the system and robs the nation of much needed revenue for the execution of lofty development projects. In my respectful view, the mandate to recover the process of crime is one that places EOCO squarely in the position to contribute to the national purse by being a major generator of revenue. I implore the new board to formulate policies and superintend the affairs of the organization in a manner so as to efficiently boost its recovery of process of crime function under the law. Property tracking mandate of EOCO, very useful for the identification and discovery of illicit property, requires cooperation with other institutions of state and relevant foreign or international agencies. I trust the board to assist the office to ensure a sound attainment of this all-important function. As indicated already in my interactions with the new executive director, there is a pressing need for EOCO to focus efforts on the investigation of serious tax fraud. There could not have been a more appropriate occasion to call for a prosecution of big tax offenders than now. With the evident competition of many sectors of the economy for the nation's scarce revenue, the situation where big companies and entities, including multinational firms operating in Ghana, which are required to contribute significantly to the tax revenue of the state, understate or hide their true income in a bid to evade satisfaction of their true obligations to the state, is unjustified. I have indicated to management of YOCO already that the prosecution of tax offenses by big companies, including multinational firms operating in the country, will be a focus of my office this year and the years to come. I expect YOCO to devise very efficient means of investigating such offenses to ensure their able prosecution. A successful tenure of the board will require cooperation with the executive director. She's a woman I've known for upwards of 12 years. I'm confident that she will cooperate with the board in every way necessary for a smooth achievement of the objects of the organization.
Interim Minister Ambrose Derry says government has engaged the National Peace Council to intervene in the deteriorating security issues in Bawku. That's not all. He also indicated that heavy security personnel have been deployed to the area to forestall any impending riots. This comes after the minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, asked the minister what measures are in place to address the tension, adding that he's been frightened by the tension area.
I'm not coming properly within the rules, but because he's Minister for Interior and Home Affairs, I got through back to Parliament yesterday after traveling to Bawku, and I'm frightened what I saw entering Bawku. So I just want to draw his attention that let's not take the matter in Bawku lightly. On 2 occasions, I was asked that you can't enter here, you can't pass here, you can't go here. That is the extent of the hate manifesting in excessive arms, in wrong hands. And citizens are just sitting across, not relating to each other as they used to. Mr. Speaker, sorry I've not come properly. So driving back, I've been frightened, and I think that the deteriorating security situation in Bawku must receive the necessary and urgent attention of you as Minister for Interior and probably also for national security. Thank you.
The minister is, however, confident that the series of interventions will completely deal with the tensions in Bawku. Let's do other stories now, because the Ghana AIDS Commission says it will take legal action against persons who discriminate against people living with HIV and AIDS. According to the Director General of the Commission, Dr. Treme Atuahini, discrimination against such persons is against the Ghana AIDS Commission Act. He said a collaborative effort from stakeholders is needed to ensure the health, safety and dignity of persons living with the virus.
The Ghana AIDS Commissions Act specifically requires that such cases should be held in camera so that the persons involved, especially those living with HIV or affected by HIV who have suffered discrimination, will have the privacy and ensure that their HIV status is not made known to the public through the court proceedings. And so this tells us that it works. And I also want to use the opportunity to inform our persons living with HIV that apart from SHRAJ and the Commission, if you think that your case may involve cost and therefore you cannot afford the cost associated with the court case, just inform SHRAJ or Ghana AIDS Commission Office or even the District Assembly HIV focal person. They will arrange for you to have a lawyer from the legal aid Commission to support you and push through your case at no cost to you. And so the laws work, and we have the system that actually ensure that the law should work. One of the things that we are going to do, we have been doing in the past, and we want to strengthen now, is to work with the traditional authorities, to address some of these harmful socio-cultural practices. That discrimination of any form is very bad for the individual and our society as a whole. And we all have to work together in eliminating any form of discrimination in the country so that people can live dignified life and have a high quality of life in every sense of the word.
Spoken in the central region, it is one of the oldest languages in Ghana, and yet many of its natives can't read, speak or write it. Through a radio show, a group of people who look like the last generation of Efutu speakers are trying to drum home the message of its extinction. In today's Ghana One series, Justice Badu traveled to Winneba to meet those behind the show. Here's his report.
Welcome to Winneba, Efutu's capital. It is the biggest town here, a historic fishing city originally called Simpa.
Radio Peace, 88.9 megahertz FM stereo.
These panelists are on a radio show to remind people about their language, the Efutu language, and to ask them to speak it.
Some of us who were even lucky to meet grandparents who were talking to our parents in the Efutu language, even suffered before we can learn the language.
Esther Nyako has been doing this program for more than 20 years. She's one of the few in her generation who still speaks Efutu in Winneba.
There are some people from Efutu who even, excuse my language, I can say shun away from the language. They don't want to even speak the language when you meet them.
During the time I was in primary school, if you don't know when you speak Efutu, the teachers have made some necklace with this seashells. They will put rope through all, then create it with a chain. So when they hear that you are speaking Efutu language, they just hang it in your neck to tell people to hoot at you that you are speaking Efutu language in school.
Simple debi lapa Efutu abra adam afadon owuna we sante bene esanto amujo rane.
The Efutu language is one of Ghana's oldest, spoken by a group known to be part of the Gwans, who are acknowledged as the Aborigines of Ghana.
The language has died. So when you ask someone in Efutu dialogue, in fact, you won't get even about 6 or 7 people to understand the language. There's no books for the children to learn about the language. It is all the time fancy, English and fancy. And therefore, when the child go to school and speak the Efutu language, people will laugh. They will laugh at the children.
The Efutu language, like many Ghanaian languages, is on the brink. And the last generation of people who speak it are racing against time to try saving it.
Justice
Badu, JoyNews, Winneba.
Now to our Joy Clean Ghana campaign, health officials of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly stormed the Bawku community to sensitize residents on the need to clean their drains. Close to a month since the sanitation campaign, Operation Clean Your Frontage was launched in the community. District Environmental Health Officer Gordon Akoria says the residents have failed to comply and clean their environments. Drains remain choked with plastics. Michael Ashali has more for us.
Some residents of Odododiodo are still not cleaning their surroundings despite the launch of Operation Clean Your Frontage and calls for them to make cleaning their priority. District Environmental Health Officer Gordon Akoria says residents remain reluctant to clean their surroundings, particularly the drains. This time, the health officers say they have devised a new strategy to coerce the residents to clean their drains.
So we did the launching in this particular community, and unfortunately they are not still adhering to our advice, the sensitization and the education. So today we have a special strategy for them. When we come and your frontage is insanitary, in other words, full of filth, we will lock your premises or shop and put you into the drain to clean it. After cleaning it, after cleaning it to the satisfaction of the team, then we open it for you to operate. Because this is the language these people in the community understand. If you don't do this, you will not be able to achieve your aim.
The first stop of the team was at a drinking bar. The drain was choked with shovels and garden forks. The residents were forced to clean the drain.
So let me get closer to Margaret. So, Margaret, the officials say they've been here several times, warning you about this drain here, but you failed to clean it. Do you have any peculiar challenges for which you've not been able to do that?
Not really. Yeah.
So it's an intentional thing that you won't clean the drain?
No, it's not an intentional thing. This is my first time coming here, so I don't know anything about it. Yeah.
So you haven't seen any of the officials here before?
Not, no.
Okay.
This is my
Great.
first time seeing.
So today they are asking that if you don't clean it, they're going to lock up the place. How do you feel about that?
I feel bad. Yeah.
So going forward, what is going to be the chat from you? You lead the ladies from this pub, right?
Yep.
So from here, what are you going to be doing?
Well, we will make sure we clean it every day.
Some of the residents note the absence of cleaning tools such as shovels, forks and gloves make it difficult to clean their environment.
My name is Yao Gariba. Okay. First, we get gutter cleaners where they clean every day. They pay them, but now we know they see anything. We don't understand. So that if this gutter choke, we will go volunteer and commode it, which is not fine. So now, if so, then they have to provide us tools. But sometimes you can feel go there, then they say that somebody has come for it. So what you want to do, you can't do it.
So right now, what do you want to be done?
If they want us to help, they have to provide us tools here. So anytime if there is a choke here, then we can commode it. That is what we want.
Some of the residents complained the waste collecting companies failed to collect waste removed from the drains. They want something done about it.
Why me yo ni ko lo suesi na me ba yo mi ne keke wa mo ko 20 e ba lo suesi ma hanu ke gbin ame ba lo sa me ka me lo
ta flat no ni sister you na kan ni shop telebulu ya tu o palu esa blanc nu tu mo na me tu ta flat e wa ni awa me nu mo se ta flat ke di aje suesi o fin gbo ma de sanji wo ko ke kan lan ebe wọ́n kẹ́ wálé báwo mi tún bẹ́ẹ̀ ní wọ́n sister you at least kọ́ bá po alákàmù fi o gbọ́n má de san tó mọ̀ lẹ̀ bó bá alákàlẹ̀ fi o kẹ̀kẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ ní bá fẹ́ òfin bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn o bẹ́ẹ̀ wọ́n mọ́ èèyàn ṣíkẹ́ bá ní o command lẹ̀ ló mú fi mu nìkan ẹ̀wọ̀n kẹ́ adìẹ tù í sè so
what they keep saying is that even sometimes when they decide to collect the plastic waste or the waste from the drains, they have to leave it by the roadside to dry for some time. But the AMA officials or whoever is in charge of collecting the waste by the roadside that they have left, don't come to collect them. And they think that that is really the biggest of their challenges, even when they devote themselves to clean the waste. I'll try to find Mr. Gordon. Mr. Gordon, so one of the things that is running through the conversations we have with some of the people here is that you don't come for the waste.
No. You see, every house is supposed to register for their waste. You understand? So when you register with the accredited AMA accredited waste companies, they will come each morning to take your garbage. You understand? So when you desalt your frontage, you need to keep it in the dustbin for the accredited waste companies to come and take it away. You understand? Because AMA has accredited to zone them. Zoom Lion is here, Tropical Waste is here, Menswell Waste Company 2 is here. You understand? So depending on which company is serving this area, so you register with that company, and anytime your dustbin is full, then they will come and take it. No, by the roadside, it is the responsibility of the households to remove it and keep it in their dustbins. Okay. You understand?
And not by the roadside?
Not by the roadside. You need to keep it in your dustbin, so that when the accredited waste contractor is coming to pick it, then the person will pick everything away. You don't keep it by the roadside, because when you do, it will go back to the drainage. Then it will be a cost 90 work.
The Clean Ghana campaign team will be in the Ablikuma sub-metro on 9th March. Michael Ashali's report for JoyNews.
Finding addresses and locations in Western countries is easy using Google Maps. However, poor road layouts and informal settlements, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, make it difficult to do the same. Fortunately, the problem is being addressed with the MyTroski app developed by the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. There's more on Tech Thursday.
With the lack of mapping for a lot of areas, including schools, markets and hospitals in Ghana, many residents resort to the use of informal names. KNUST researchers therefore took advantage of address points of landmarks in local communities and trotro services to generate data for the app's development. Dr. Gift Dumeda is project lead.
MyTroski was developed to make sure that people can have easy access to their local services, be it a clinic, police service, fire service, or a shopping. And all of these information are included in MyTroski. And we also make sure that it has a local context by incorporating the local Twi language in it. Now, the Twi language allows us access for people who are not familiar with English, so that they can use the Twi to be able to access their navigation. Currently, the MyTroski app can be used in two modes. One, when you have data, and then a second case where you do not have mobile data. And MyTroski can be currently downloaded. You can go and Google MyTroski at mytroski-gh.com, and you'll be able to download MyTroski. Alternatively, you can also go to Google Play Store and search for MyTroski.
The researchers say they will soon release the iOS version of the app. Reporting for JoyNews, Kwesi Debra.
You're still watching JoyNews Desk. Up next is business.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. The positive economic outlook coupled with the discovery of oil and gas in 2007 heightened public expectation and investor confidence in the economy. This was despite the non-establishment of the necessary legal and systematic measures to ensure the benefits of oil and gas discovery. However, after a decade, a report sanctioned by the Public Interest and Accountability Committee says the country has failed to attract the socio-economic benefits. There's more in this report.
Ghana was likened to the Asian tigers and regarded as the star of Africa in the early days of its discovery. Indeed, initial investment in the oil and gas sector contributed significantly to the country's growth rate between 2009 and 2013. However, the slump in crude oil prices from 2014 led to a negative oil-induced growth in 2016. Also, the anticipated $1 billion of government revenue from 2011 onwards never materialized due to a slump in oil price and significant cost recoveries associated with the Jubilee oil field remedial works. In fact, the closest Ghana got to was $978 million in 2014, when oil prices traded around $98 per barrel. Ghana, like other emerging prospective petroleum producers, mostly in Africa, fell victim to the resource curse, whereby the joy of potential oil revenues being used for development has been met with significant disappointment. The report concluded that the oil-induced growth has not been inclusive as initially anticipated. For example, Ghana's human development indicators have been relatively stagnant in the last 10 years post-oil poverty. Again, inequality in both rural and urban areas keeps rising.
The Ghana Stock Exchange is making a call for local investors to consider patronizing the equity market to boost confidence as it is done in the bond market. According to Managing Director Eko Afezi, the debt market has more domestic investors benefiting than the equity market. He's therefore advised local investors must consider and support the equity market to build the economy.
When you look at the bond market, you see a shift in terms of the investor profile from foreigners dominating to local. That shift happened, I think, a year or 2 years ago. Now we have more domestic investors than foreign investors, which is good. It creates confidence in the market. That even the foreign investor knows that when it comes to our market and he wants to sell and just get out of the market or liquidate investments, there are local investors who can pick them up, which is very key. And so you have about 70 to 30% or so in terms of domestic versus foreign, which is fine. On the equity market, it's about the same, about 50-50. And it's important that we rather get more domestic investors to be interested in the equity market. The only way we can develop our economy and businesses is through equities, apart from the other financing methods that you can have. But equity is important, it's key.
Could it also be that the foreigners are losing interest in our market?
No. The foreigners are a lot more in the equities than, I told you, than the domestic. And also when you take the bond side, I told you the other way around. All that it means is that we are getting more domestic, big institutional investors who are buying our domestic bonds that are being issued. Then when it comes to the equity, that's why I want to see more Ghanaian retail investors and institutional investors like pension funds also taking part in this market.
All right, and just before we go, a programming alert for you. Joy Business Social comes up tonight. We are going to be looking at the state of our economy and ask, can Ghana ever attain financial independence as we mark Independence Day in a few days' time? Yalati will be there with us, partner Deloitte Ghana, Dr. Daniel Amatenim, Executive Director, Policy Initiative for Economic Development, and Dr. Edu Susako, Economics Lecturer with the University of Ghana. Make a date on Facebook at 6 p.m. And that's business. Sports is coming up next.
And it's time for sports with my favorite person, Muftau, and he is, looking fantastic in his smog. Oh, Ghana month.
Fantabulous.
You're fantastic.
Yeah, Ghana month. So
yeah, you're looking really scrumptious.
And I like your appreciation of qualities. Yeah.
Quality sees quality.
Yeah.
You get it.
You are quality.
Yeah. No, I am quality and I'm seeing quality. Like me, I am of quality.
So it becomes quality.
Yes, please.
Double quality.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the word so sweet.
I understand now you guys are throwing away my team. What's happening?
Well, the invasion of Ukraine is definitely what has led to all this.
Yeah.
So the Chelsea owner, Roman Abramovich, announced last night that he's putting the club up for sale. He bought a club in 2003 from Kembase. He's been the sole owner of Chelsea for the last 20 years plus. He's invested a lot of resources into it. But at this point, he feels that he must let go of the club. He must sell the club because there are fears that there might be some sanctions from from the government of UK, and there's a possibility that if that happens, Chelsea could be in a dire situation. So he decided to put the club up for sale. Yesterday, the club officially announced that Roman says the club is up for sale, but they'll follow due process. Okay. They don't want to rush into selling the club. Any potential buyers? At this point, there are some consortiums that are willing to take over the club, but the bigger question will be, can Chelsea ever have an owner that will be quite as passionate and willing to invest in the club like Roman did? Okay. Because for all the years he's managed this club, the club owes him close to £2 billion. Yeah. He says he's selling the club, but he doesn't want the club to pay him the loans they've taken from him. He also says that the money that they're going to make from selling the club, he's going to put it into a foundation. And that money is going to cater for the victims of the war in Ukraine. Yeah. So if someone comes to buy the club for 4 billion or 5 billion or even 3 billion, like their asking price at the moment, all those monies are not going to Roman, but they're going into the foundation that will cater for the people who have been affected by the war in Ukraine. People have raised concerns. Yeah. They've said that he has not questioned his close associates' action that has led to dire situations in Ukraine. Yes, he's a man who is passionate about Chelsea. He's a man who is willing to sell, who is willing to invest in the football club Chelsea. But he's not a man who has spoken publicly against what Vladimir Putin has done. And that's why they're saying that because he's a good friend of Putin, that's why he has not questioned it. Of course. But others will always have reservations. I think that many people have not been really fair to Roman Abramovich. I don't see how I am atoning for the sins of my friend. I don't see how he should atone for the sins of a close associate. You know what wise people say? Yeah. That if you want to know who a man is, look at his friends. That's what people say. Okay, so the friends know you outside. They probably do not even know you within. But what friends? What I present to people outside is different from what I present to people inside. But it's still a part outside, of you. It's still a part of me. It's still you. So, like right now, I'm very excited to be here, bubbly and whatnot, and I'm hungry. Yeah. But they don't know that. My friend knows that I'm hungry. Does that mean that that part of me is not me? It's still me. It is still you. But the fact of the matter is that if you commit a crime, I'm not the person going to the jail. Of course not. You are going to the jail. Of course not. So why am I atoning for the sins? Why are you going to jail and I'm also going to jail with you? Why should I lose my investment because my friend has done something? That is where I'm coming from. Okay. That's the angle I'm coming from. Yeah. You're looking at someone who has invested so much resources into this club. Into the club. Yeah. He's employed so many people. Thousands of people who work for him in the UK. He's got houses in the UK. Now he has to lose everything simply because it got to a point he had to go and acquire an Israeli passport because he could even fly to the UK just to watch Chelsea play. But is it not the case that, since we can't get through to the Russian president directly, we're going to attack everybody around him so that and that is why the decision of FIFA, UEFA, World Athletics, International Olympic Committee, I feel they got it wrong. Okay. The athletes are going to be those who are going to suffer for the consequences of the man at the top. Exactly what they're trying to do. So we want to get the small ones. So why should I lose my source of livelihood simply because my leader has done something? Because your leader is not listening to me. Listen, your leader is not listening to me. Your leader, I can't get. So should I die? Should I die because my leader is not listening to you? Yes, and if you die, if someone else dies, if 100 people die, that means that your leader will listen to you or end up listening to you. You see, the point is this. And just yesterday there was a report that has said that Russian athletes were going to compete in the Paralympics and all that, not under the flag of Russia. Yeah. Now that decision has been reversed, and that all Russian athletes have been banned. Then they should go and ban the players who play for Manchester City as well because they are Russians. All right, well, let's see how it goes. It shall be well.
It shall be well. Thank you very much for joining me. And that's how we end Joy News Desk. For more news, you can log on to myjoyonline.com. I am Mapito Sibiri.
The smiling Mapito.